Chapter 1 Understanding the Canadian Business System. Chapter 1 creates a context for understanding the business concepts that are presented throughout the text. This chapter presents the ideas of business and profit, outlines the world's major economic systems, and describes the key aspects of Canada's market economy, including markets, demand, supply, private enterprise, and the different degrees of competition that are evident in various industries. The learning objective of today's lesson is that at the end of this lesson, you will be able to define the nature of Canadian business and identify its main goals. Describe different types of global economic systems, according to the means by which they control the factors of production through input and output markets. Describe the interactions between business and government in Canada. You will also be able to show how demand and supply affect resource distribution in Canada. Identify the elements of private enterprise and explain the various degrees of competition in the Canadian economic system. The idea of business and profit. A business is an organization that seeks to earn profits by providing goods and services to customers. Profit is what remains after a business's expenses incurred are subtracted from its sales and revenues. Profits are what encourage people to open and expand business and are required in order for the organization to be a going concern. In Canada, not-for-profit organizations such as charities, educational institutions or government agencies are also important. As the term suggests, these are organizations that do not try to make a profit. Instead, they use the funds they get from government grants or from the sale of goods and services to provide various services to the public. Economic systems around the world. An economic system is the way in which a nation allocates its resources among its citizens. Various systems differ in terms of who owns or controls these resources, or factors of production. Factors of production. The basic resources used by a business to produce goods and services include natural resources, human resources, capital, entrepreneurs, and information. 1. Labor, the people who work for a company. 2. Capital, the funds needed to operate a business. 3. Entrepreneurs, those people who accept the opportunities and risks involved in creating and operating a business. 4. Natural resources, land, water, mineral deposits, trees and other naturally occurring resources that businesses need to operate. 5. Information, market forecasts, specialized knowledge possessed by employees, and various forms of economic data about the economy and consumers that are used by businesses. Types of economic systems. Different types of economic systems manage the factors of production in different ways. Command economies, market economies, and mixed economies are three basic types. 1. Command economies. Government controls many, or all, of the factors of production. The government decides how much will be produced and who will produce it. Command economies have fallen into disfavor during the past decade, and only a few are left, for example, Cuba and North Vietnam. 2. Market economies. Factors of production are controlled by markets, not by government. Individuals are free to start their own businesses, and consumers are free to buy from whomever they wish. Input and output markets. In input markets, companies buy resources from households. In the output market, companies supply goods and services in response to demand from households. Capitalism encourages entrepreneurship and the private ownership of the factors of production, encourages profit-making as an incentive, and operates under the concept of supply and demand. 3. Mixed market economies, have features of both command and market economies. Most countries of the world, including Canada, have mixed market economies. Privatization is converting government firms into privately owned companies. Nationalization is the conversion of private firms into government-owned firms. Deregulation is the reduction of laws and government intervention. Interactions between business and government. A. How government influences business. The government influences business by taking on the roles of customer, competitor, regulator, taxation agent, provider of incentives, and a provider of essential services. 1. Government as a customer. Government buys many services and products which amount to billions of dollars each year. 2. Government as a competitor. Crown corporations at both federal and provincial levels compete with business. 3. Government as a regulator. The federal and provincial governments regulate many aspects of business activity, including the following. A. Promoting competition. Competition policy seeks to eliminate restrictive trade practices to stimulate maximum business activity. The guidelines for Canada's competition policy are contained in the Competition Act. B. Protecting consumers. The Canada Consumer Product Safety Act, the Tobacco Act, Weights and Measures Act, Textile Labeling Act, and the Food and Drug Act, are examples of regulations that protect consumers. C. Achieving social goals. The achievement of social goals promotes the well-being of our society. Social goals include universal access to health care, safe workplaces, employment insurance and decent pensions. D. Protecting the environment. Legislation to protect the environment includes the Canada Water Act, the Fisheries Act, and the Environmental Contaminants Act. 4. Government as a taxation agent. Taxes are imposed and collected by all three levels of government. Revenue taxes, for example, income taxes, are levied primarily to fund government services and programs. They form the majority of all taxes. Progressive and regressive taxes are described. Restrictive taxes, such as excise taxes on alcohol, tobacco and gasoline, serve as both a revenue source and a deterrent to excesses. 5. Government as a provider of incentive programs. These programs are intended to stimulate economic development. Governments offer numerous incentive programs through various government organizations. Incentives are also provided through the services provided to companies by the government. 6. Government as a provider of essential services. Business activity is facilitated by the government services that are supplied, for example roads, postal service, police and fire departments.